Hello everybody, it's Ashley here from One Stitch After Another. I do hope everybody is well. What do you think of the new hair? In today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about episode 6 of Game of Wool on spitting feathers. We are also going to talk about my little recent trip to Birmingham on Monday with Zelly. And we're also going to open the little packages from the yarn advent, and I will share with you the story. I know that some of you are really enjoying the story. I may well be interrupted and have to come back and film the rest of this later. I'm waiting for hubby to come back from he's popped to his factory, but he wants to go to Aldi and get all the Christmas nibbly goodie bits before he thinks they're going to run out. But yes, he wants to get that done today, so I might have to suspend filming and go out and do that. The cat is looking out of the window. The sun is shining. I hope you're all well. I'm a bit meh, to be honest. It looks as if I've got high blood pressure and I'm a little bit worried about it. If any of you suffer from high blood pressure, should I be worried? I'm being asked to monitor my readings at home twice a day for the next 7 days. So I've got a little blood pressure monitor machine. Anyway, I've got hot now. What should we talk about first? I've got a very red nose today as well. I've just nipped to morning knitting. I haven't got any knitting to show you. Well, I could, but it's a bit boring. I'll wait until next week, I think, when a few more things might have been finished. Let's talk about the trip to Birmingham first. So I had a lovely meet up with Zelly, who I met at Lay Family Yarn Retreat last year, and she was there this year as well. And the cat is being weird. Yeah, she doesn't live too far from me, and Birmingham is roughly equidistant from where we both live, and we met and had a lovely, lovely time. And she was naughty. Well, no, she wasn't naughty. I was naughty. We went into Waterstones, and we looked at books, obviously, because we were in Waterstones, but she influenced me in buying this book, which is absolutely delicious. In case you couldn't see that, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on now. It's oh god, I'm they're filthy. It's called Secrets of a Devon Wood, My Nature Journal, by somebody called Jo Brown, and I've started reading it, but there's not a lot to read. It's more a pretty book to look at. But what swung it for me, if I can find the page, I mean, it's a bit, if you've ever seen the Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady, it's a little bit like that, but obviously it's contemporary. It was written and drawn in 2018, I believe, but this was what swung it for me. This bee, I just love bees, and it's just beautiful. And it's like a record, a log of this person's little forays into nature. A lot of it is in their own garden, but where they're out and about, they give the geographical coordinates. I'll just show you another page. But it's one of those books that is just absolutely beautiful, and it'd be a lovely gift if you still haven't got all your Christmas shopping done. I mean, look at the cover there, the little frog. £14.99 hardback book, beautiful. If you know any nature lovers. And the blue tits, they remind me of the blue tits that come on my tree in my front garden. The cat is looking. Come on, birds, where are you? I want a little bit of catavision out of the window. Oh gosh, and there is a big bird just flown by. Or was it a leaf? No, it was a big leaf, fell off the tree. Gosh, my eyesight's bad. Yeah, so I bought that. I bought some other things as well, which I'm not going to bore you and show you now. But we had a lovely time, and when we parted company, I took a look round Birmingham Cathedral. I'll put a little bit of footage of that on now. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the city of Birmingham. It is allegedly the UK's second largest city. I believe that's in terms of population. And I think the cathedral for a large city is quite a disappointing building. On the outside, it looks a bit meh, you know. It's certainly not like Durham. And I think that there is some footage on one of my channels of our trip to Durham when we went at Easter. It might even be on this channel. If I can find it, I'll try and leave a link in the description box. It's not like York Minster. Even Lichfield Cathedral, which is a really tiny cathedral, is more awe-inspiring than Birmingham Cathedral, I think, on the outside. But you know, I thought I'll go in and I'll have a little wander. And I'm not religious. I don't have a faith, but I do appreciate the beauty of cathedrals and churches and stained glass. And I love church music. I love sacred music. And actually, I had a great chat with the organist, and I asked him how long he'd been organist there. I think he said he'd been there since 2018. I can't quite remember now, showing how much attention I was paying. But I asked him about the organ, and I said, is it a modern organ? Because I could see lights and, you know, beautiful timbre to the pipes. And he said, yes, it's a modern organ, but some of the pipes are from whenever. And the cathedral's a bit older than I thought it was, actually. I thought it was 18th, 19th century or 19th century, but it does go back to the 18th century. And I tell you what, it was blooming warm in there, really warm. So yeah, I said to him, what do you think about the size and splendour of the building as you work here? And he said, I really like it, and it does have a kind of homely feel to it. I actually sung. I was very fortunate when I was at school. I did O-level and A-level music, and our music teacher at the time was a guy called Geoffrey Skidmore, and he is musical director of quite a famous choir called Ex Cathedra. And because we were, I suppose, quite good musicians, he used to give us the opportunity to sing with them when we were in the sixth form. When we could. So he famously, and he still does it, and he must be nearly 80. I met him at a mutual friend's funeral last year, actually. But yeah, he must be nearly 80, but he's still very much hands-on with Ex Cathedra, but he's trained his son up to take it over as well. And they travel all over the world. They've got lots of recordings. Do a Google search if you're interested in them. Helen Massey, make sure you might like them. But I forget where I'm going with this now. Yes, so every Christmas they do, Ex Cathedra do a by candlelight series around the Midlands, and there's a church which again is a bit more spectacular in another area of Birmingham called Hockley, St Paul's Hockley. They do their candlelight service there. But I remember one Easter, I was either in year 12 or year 13, lower six or upper six. We sang, we were invited to sing in the chorus of St Matthew's Passion in Birmingham Cathedral. And that was the only time I've been in the cathedral. And Monday is the only other time that I've been in Birmingham Cathedral. And I thought it was a really odd juxtaposition that you've got this seat of religious learning and faith, if you like, juxtaposed with all of this commercialism, consumerism, gluttony, which is, yeah, I couldn't quite get my head around that. But yes, that was lovely. And Sally, if you're watching, yes, I'm up for doing the January sales. So before the cat destroys my little parcels, she is a funny little onion. Let's talk about Game of Wool. Now, I've got no notes this week, so I'm probably going to forget stuff. So I think we're down to 5 contestants now. We get this right. I think we're down to 5 contestants. So we've got Isaac, Simon, Holger, Elsa and Lydia. And I loved the challenge this week. I absolutely loved it. So they could knit or crochet the first task, which is the solo task. This week was all about texture. And I think they did, yeah. most of them knit, but I think Lydia crocheted. She's sniffing you now. I wonder if I can't turn that over. I'm supposed to be able to do this thing on my phone where I can flip it, but it doesn't work. And now she's standing on my iPad. Get off, get your. She's standing right on my iPad. Get your 5 kilogram weight off that. Thank you. Thank you. Deary me. Oh, I tell you. Anyway, yes. So 5 contestants, and it was all about texture week this week. Texture. Let me put you so you can see those little bits of lights, and I lit a candle for you. So they had to make jewellery in the solo task. It had to be a neck piece with a matching bracelet or cuff, and I thought that was lovely. In fact, actually, I need to go and get something. I'm back. I hope that if Amo wasn't up to handing round any nibbles, somebody else looked after you. Anyway, I forgot I wanted to show you this. I have had this for the longest time. It's a kit from Rowan for a knitted necklace. It's called Mariella Contemporary Knitted Jewellery. And I know why I never started it. I can't tell you how long I've had this. Probably 25 years. But it's all boxed up nicely. And then inside, you've got everything you need if I just hold it up like that. Oh, that's really nice. It's a nice little box. So can you see? I should have maybe done you top down, but you've got, gosh, that's heavy. You've got gold wire, which I think was once silver and it's tarnished over time. Got some little beads like that. My nails are all chipped. Little beads like that. But this is what put me off. Double pointed needles. I thought, I don't know what. Oh, the cat looked at me then. I thought, I don't know what to do with them. But I have the skills now. I have the skills and I have the know-how. Got those beads as well. So I might give this a go. And then you've got a little thing. Yes, I think this was supposed to be silver, but I think it's tarnished over time. I wonder if it actually is silver, sterling silver wire. I mean, you can get this sort of stuff quite readily now. I'm just wondering if I undo a bit, whether... Oh, I can't. It's a bit fiddly to do now. But yes, I might have a go at that. Beautifully packaged. So I think you have to thread all of the beads on first. Okay, yeah. But I know what to do, so I can do it. Do you know, I learned how to do an I-cord many years ago. I don't think I've got it anymore. I went to one of the knitting shows. It was either Ali Pally or one at the NEC. It wasn't like an independent one like we have today. And I hadn't booked up any workshops, but there was this kind of drop-in where you could sit down. It was a make and take, and I learned how to do an I-cord, a beaded one, and made a little bracelet thingy. But I don't think I've got that anymore. I've knit earrings as well out of wire with beads on, like leaf shape in my time. But that wasn't in the round. That's obviously in the round. I think you make a tube. Yes. So back to Game of Wool. I wish I'd made a coffee while I'd stopped. Although I think with high blood pressure, I need to cut down my caffeine intake. I don't drink a lot of coffee. Or maybe I do. Maybe I have 4 shots a day at home. But I haven't had any coffee today. When I was out at morning knitting, I had a lemon and ginger tea. Anyway, enough of that, Ashley. Nobody wants to know about that. I'm hyper. Maybe. Oh, I've got hypertension. Maybe that's why I'm hyper. I've got suspected hypertension. It's not been fully diagnosed yet, but I've had 3 days of high readings. Yes, back to the competition. So they had to knit or crochet a necklace with a matching cuff or bracelet, and texture was key. Now Elsa stuck to her Scottish roots. I hope I can remember all this because I didn't make any notes. And she did a beautiful like braided I-cord choker in green with a little thistle pendant, and then she did a matching, well, a kind of matching cuff, and she put a bit of wire work on the cuff. And the judges' comments, and I think they were fair with this, was that she used a beautiful, beautiful heather coloured yarn for the thistle, and she should have used that in the braid of the choker, because it was just one colour. It was just like kind of quite a deep green, and also there wasn't a lot of texture. I guess the texture came from the braiding, from the plaiting of these individual I-cords. Let's talk about Simon next, because I can remember him, and hubby is just pulled up on the drive, so I'll be cutting this short in a minute. Simon did knitting with wire, which is what this is. Oh, I'm back now, and I've got a cup of tea. Oh, I was quite thirsty wandering around Aldi. So I'm quite pleased we have spent money in Aldi and got a lot of the sweets and treaty things and crisps and stuff like that. And I've just spent some time, I've only been out about an hour, spent some time with hubby, putting everything in the garage, out of sight, out of mind. Yes. Anyway, we were talking about Simon, weren't we? Oh, I know what I meant to tell you as well. While we were up there, I popped into our butcher's, and yeah, we just rocked up in the car park. Butcher's is in the same place as Aldi, and I left it very late this year to put our meat order in for Christmas, and I thought, I bet they've closed the order book already. I don't know why, I'd got something like the 6th of December in my head, and I said to her, but you go and make a start and I'll nip in the butcher's and see if their order book's still open. Thank goodness it was. It's open until the 15th. Not that you're concerned about that, but it was lovely. I had a nice chat. They've got a little cubby hole where you go and make your order, and it's all computerised now. And because I'd kind of gone in off the cuff, I said, I don't suppose you can tell me, well, first of all, they're all jokers there. I said, can I make a Christmas order? He said, no, we're closed. We've closed it today early. Oh. He said, were you joking? I said, thank you. Anyway, it's all computerised, and I said, I haven't got my order from last year. Can you look it up? And he did. So I've had exactly the same as last year. I've had my lovely rolled ribber beef for Christmas Day, 5 kilo joint of ham for Boxing Day. I cook it in cherry ham, and then do a cherry jam and smoked paprika glaze, and it goes in the oven to get all crusty on the top. Nice. 5 kilos won't be enough. It's hardly ever enough. Got fewer people coming this year than normal, so I'm keeping fingers crossed that there'll be some left over for some pea and ham pasta. I was having a good old chat with the bloke. He says, why don't you have turkey? And I told him the tale. I'll tell you that another day if you're interested. And then I felt this hand on my shoulder, and looked around, and it's this lad that used to go to the school that I'm a TA at, and he got some work experience there. He left last year, year 11, 2024. And he was a bit of a scally, bless him. He was one of those kids that's a lovable rogue, you know. And anyway, I saw him there last year, not long after he'd started, and it was like a temporary thing. And then I saw him again earlier this year, and he said, oh, I've got an apprenticeship now, miss. Anyway, yeah, he's doing really well there, except just like at school, he wouldn't listen to rules, and he didn't wear a proper glove when he was doing some chopping, and chopped through a tendon. It's nearly recovered. So yes, he understands the safety rules now, does he? Bless him. Anyway, we were talking about Game of Wool, weren't we? I bet you've all switched off now. Is anybody here? If you're still here, can you please say the word or the phrase, pigs in blankets? So I know you're still here. We were talking about Game of Wool, weren't we? And I'd got to Simon. Oh, it looks like the postman's just about to come down the drive as well. I hope they don't knock the door, because I just haven't got the bandwidth to start this video again. Do you know what I mean? It's just really funny, and she's going to think I'm really on talking to myself. She's just looked at me through the window, and she can probably hear me as well. Anyway, Simon. What I liked about this week's episode was there was much more of a focus on knitting, and yeah, I was just really, really pleased about that. And they were allowed, oh God, I'm just watching some car argy-bargy going on there. Someone's trying to reverse out of our little cul-de-sac and someone's trying to drive in, and both of them are being a little bit impatient with each other. Sorry, I'm like a magpie. I'm just distracted. Yes, they were allowed to block if they wanted to this week, and blocking hasn't been mentioned before. And I do think this was my favourite episode so far, partly because we've got to hear a lot about Simon. Let's get back to Simon. So Simon chose to knit his jewellery out of wire, which I know from personal experience is quite hard on the hands. And I can't say that I was in love with the finished object, but I really liked the concept behind it all. And part of the judges said that they had, well, the judges said part of the task was to be inventive with your use of materials and texture. And I think Simon definitely was inventive. And we got to learn a lot about him this week. I think we knew from previous episodes that he'd been in the forces, and his statement jewellery was a tribute to his wife who stood by him all this time. He's not in the forces anymore. He was out in Afghanistan, I think, which must have been horrendous. So he did this ode to his wife, and there was a little heart at the back. I'm not putting any pictures up because I think that is a breach of copyright. I'm sure that there are lots of other podcasters who are doing that. I'm not having a go at them for breaching copyright, and there's probably fair usage policies anyway. And obviously you can go and watch the episode. But he'd got this little heart that he'd made that was at the back, which I thought was quite cute. And then it was quite almost Egyptian, the kind of structure of the front piece of it. And then he was bending the wire to create the chemical symbol of oxytocin, which is the love chemical, apparently, which I thought was just such a clever idea. And then for the chain bit here, he was doing Viking knitting. And I wonder if that is similar to knarl binding that I showed you when I went on my reenactors market trip. And then he was stretching it through needle gauges, because obviously if he was doing the whole thing, it would take him hours, and I only had 12. So that was good. Who haven't I talked about? I've talked about... Have I talked about Lydia? Apologies if I'm repeating myself. So Lydia, she, like Elsa, actually, I talked about Elsa, didn't I? She did the thistle with the braided stuff here, which was a nod to her Scottish heritage. And Lydia, I think, is West African heritage, and she was influenced by the jewellery that African women wear. And she crocheted, I think she crocheted hers, and she did mosaic crochet. So she used black and gold. I think it was mercerised cotton. Elsa used mercerised cotton as well, which has got a lovely sheen to it. And there was some beadwork in it, which was just delicious. And so the front bit of it, which was quite close fitting around the neck, was quite a dense fabric. And then the bit that sat around the yoke was very lacy, and she steam blocked that. And then what was lovely about the cuff was that she extended, so that it was the dense fabric around the cuff, and then she extended the lace over the hand, almost like half of a glove. And that looked lovely. That really did look lovely. And I'll come on to the judging in a minute. Then Holger was inventive with his use of materials. He used a black bin liner. He cut it into strips and made his own yarn. Now, I remember, I think it was roughly in the early 2000s, might have been a little bit later than that. There was a trend for cutting up plastic bags and making things out of plastic bags, either knitting or crocheting. And I did knit a bag out of plastic bag strips. You couldn't do it today because most of the plastic bags that we get have already been made out of recycled plastic, and they do tend to break down and be quite fragile. And that, again, like knitting with wire, is very hard on the fingers. And I didn't know what it would look like, but I thought it looked really shimmery. And Holger said that his inspiration, if you like, was Jet, Whitby Jet. And it did have that kind of sparkle to it. And then he did a lace, white mercerised cotton lace, like fancy bit here. I think he took a bit of a risk, but I quite liked it. And again, throughout the whole of the show, there was lovely banter between Holger and Simon. I really liked that. And then Isaac, last but not least, Isaac, I think the judges were a little bit underwhelmed with what he did for that. He did a daisy chain, so I think he did an I-cord, and did little daisies, and then a big statement daisy. Used mercerised cotton. I think it was mercerised cotton. Very fresh looking, and would be sweet for a little girl, actually, with the yellow, white and the fresh green. The judges loved Lydia's ensemble, and Di had a tear in her eye, and she said, it's just so beautiful, just so beautiful. Whether it was the best, do you know, it probably was. I think it probably was the best. Then the team task, they all had to do the same thing, which I think was good, and was a nod to kind of Bake Off, where they have a challenge, they all have to do the same thing. So they had to all produce a lace panel that would go onto a frame to be a light shade, and they had a specific pattern they had to follow, and they were using linen. Would have been interesting actually to know what size needles they might have been referred to in the programme. If they did and you clocked onto that, leave me a little comment, because I would have been quite interested. Now, Lydia had a little bit of a meltdown over this. You had to keep your stitch count the same. I think it was 33 or 36 stitches. I can't quite remember now. I've had a couple of nights sleep since then. And Lydia lost a stitch. And because it was such a lacy panel, you couldn't fudge it really. And she had a bit of a meltdown. And apparently on the day that they were filming that, it was Mother's Day, and she was away from her young children. So, yeah. But what was lovely was that Simon stepped up to the plate and helped her out. And in doing so, he fell behind with his own panel and didn't finish it. So I will cut a very long and boring story short. We know who got cast off. I'm not sure whether it was the right decision. I would have loved to have seen Simon stay another episode, because I think he'd got so much more to give. And I think he probably was one of the contestants that has learnt an awful lot, because I think he went into the competition not knowing very much about crochet, and his bacon last week was just to die for. And I think he's really imaginative and creative, and I'd love to have seen him go further. And I shall miss that banter on that big sofa between him and Holger. So he was cast off, and Lydia, I think it was Lydia, got the bar badge. It's a shame that Simon didn't get a bar badge. They were very impressed with Isaac's lace work this week, and he was, oh, I just kicked the table and kicked you, I am sorry. They were very impressed with Isaac's lace work. They said it was almost perfect. But I thought the panel was lovely. I need to do some research and see if that pattern is actually available anywhere, because I'd quite like to have a go at doing something like that myself. Anyway, it is time to put my glasses on. I doubt I'm going to get this edited today, so you might see it Thursday. Quite excited. I've made a decision, and actually I had a really lovely chat with Zelly. So Zelly, if you're still watching, thank you so much for the chat. We were talking about YouTube. And I've felt, and nobody has made me do this. Nobody has made me start a YouTube channel. Nobody has made me even do 3 YouTube channels. And I was saying that I just wonder why I don't get many views. And there's lots of reasons. I'm a boring old lady is one. My thumbs aren't very good, 2. Content probably could be better. Although one thing that Sally said, which I really appreciate, she said some podcasters, they come across as really, really curated. They obviously spend a lot of time and effort and possibly money making everything look nice. What you see with me is what you get is, no, what you see is what you get. Yeah, there's no curation going on here. I've tidied up a little bit, but if you could see all the little bits on the carpet that I've trodden in, yeah, and I don't plan as much. I don't know. But she made this point about how the number of views shouldn't validate me as a person. And I've got kind of into that hamster wheel of, oh, I've got to make content because otherwise my views are going to go down and I'm going to lose subscribers. And you can so quickly get addicted to that. And I've got to stop, because at the end of the day, all of my YouTube channels are for me. The new one that I've started is more about my life now. I'm an old lady, and something that perhaps my kids can look back on. I think this channel and my paper crafting channel are most definitely for me to look back on when I'm maybe no longer able to do those things, and look back and reflect. And if I can touch anybody through these videos, make them laugh even just for a nanosecond, or bring a smile to their face, that is a bonus. That is a bonus. If anybody tunes in, that is a bonus. And yes, on that note, slurp a tea. If I can come back before next Wednesday, I'll come back. If not, I won't. And I might need to put another light on to read this, but then I look like I've got a halo. It might be that the next video I do is just a little catch up on a couple of days of the yarn advents, because nobody wants to watch somebody who's just making videos for video's sake. And I want to kind of give you something that is worthwhile to watch. Ooh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait until we get a really nice sunny day after Christmas and I can put these all side by side. This is so lovely. And I've just remembered I've got to do my yarn advent pattern as well. Well, it's not an advent pattern, but you know, my Christmassy pattern. Oh, that is just delicious. It matches my hair. Maybe that can be the thumb. And this is just so soft. I really want to knit myself something with Sherry Irish yarn. Let's get the story out. We'll put that in. Yes, I've got to be more selfish, I think, going forward in my life and do things for me. So things that are going to be on my to-do list for next year are writing a little bit more. I'm going to start journaling and I'm going to make a journal. That'll be on my other channel. It's going to be a bird themed journal because I've got lots of pretty bird papers and old bird books. I'm going to learn to crochet and I'm going to write a story and I'm going to take up my art again and I'm going to play my piano more and so yeah, I'm going to be disciplined with my time but enjoy my life. Yes, definitely. I might have to put the other light on. Let me see if this will make a difference down here without washing me out. I've got a little lamp here. Ooh, that's quite nice. And I can seal, but you are getting reflection off my glasses. And I just gave you a flash of my rather large zoom. Okay, So this is December the 8th. I can't remember anything about the story other than we've been introduced to Copperfield the Rabbit and Arthur the Blackbird, and they're being read by Betsy, I think it is, Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. On this December morning, snow had once more begun to fall gently upon the woodland and the surrounding fields, dusting the world as if it were one of Betsy's legendary Christmas cakes. Warm and cosy in Dickens Burrow, Copperfield was making some Christmas decorations. As Beth had read once more from the Jungle Book the day before, Copperfield had watched the children on the floor of the barn colouring pictures and pinning them up as festive decorations. Now, Copperfield was colouring his own picture. "Can we pin it up as a decoration?" he asked Betsy when he started drawing. It won't surprise you to learn that when Copperfield had decided to draw for his decoration has, in fact, a tiger. That doesn't make sense. Copperfield decided to draw a tiger. As he coloured the stripes, he thought to himself with a little start of excitement, if it wasn't for the stripes, the cat up at the cottage, Sherlock, would be just like the fearsome tiger, Shere Khan, from the Jungle Book. Well, he thought of the many times he and Sherlock had enjoyed one another's company. Perhaps not quite as fearsome as Shere Khan, but then that, he thought, was a good thing. So that was day 8. Is this day 9 or is it day 10? This is day 9. Day 9. Day 9. Right. Yes, if you've got any, I want to knit a garment with this because it is just so beautiful with a natural neutral colour in between. And it probably will be stripes, but I don't know. So this is what we've got. That's bob on my hair. Apparently Kat, my hairdresser, mixed this, and I don't like it tucked behind the ears. She tucked it behind my ears. 1 ear I don't mind, but 2 I think is a bit harsh. It was candy floss with a little bit of cyclamen in it. Anyway, that's that colour. It's nice, isn't it? Let's pop you in there so we know. So we've got lots of pink. So we started with silver, and then we've had kind of some coppery ones, silvery grey, coppery, going into pink. This is day 10 of the story. I've been on an absolute age. Right. Early the next morning, Copperfield set out to visit Sherlock the cat, who he thinks is like Shere Khan. He approached the little cottage, steering clear around the icy little pond that he had fallen in several Christmases ago, where he spotted Sherlock sitting by the door. He stopped by the little apple tree in the front garden. It's a shame it's all creased up. The cat spotted the little rabbit instantly and sprang towards him. He had such sharp eyes, thought Copperfield, just like the tiger. As he reached Copperfield, Sherlock came to a stop, stretched and yawned, then rolled onto the ground and looked up at the rabbit. "You've come to visit me, I'm sure," he said. "I have," said Copperfield. "I wanted to tell you about this amazing story called Jungle Book. It's the most amazing thing ever." Sherlock leapt up quick as a flash and Copperfield stopped talking. "I know all about the Jungle Book," he said. "Just because you can't see me in the barn doesn't mean I'm not there, listening." Copperfield hopped excitedly on the spot. "I think maybe you're just like a tiger," he said. "A tiger," said Sherlock slowly, ponderously. After a moment, he leapt up into the apple tree beside them. "Or maybe I'm more like a panther," he said, flitting along a branch. Copperfield admired Sherlock's glossy fur, gleaming like that of Bagheera, the panther. Do you know, I've never read the Jungle Book, and I don't think I've seen the Disney film all the way through. My cat's just busy grooming herself by my editing suite. I don't need to put the story in there, Ashley. Number 10, just 2 things, and then I'm going, you'll be pleased to know. Right, I do like this. It's very festive. There's the yarn. Oh, I can see something happening inside the tissue. Who is it who says tissue? Somebody says tissue. Would you like a tissue? We'll read the story while it's fresh in our mind, and then we'll look at the yarn. Copper sealed and breathe. Copperfield sat in a most comfy chair in Dickens Burrow. This particular chair was, in fact, his absolute favourite, chiefly because it was both very soft and cosy, but also very close to the little table in the kitchen where his mother, Betsy, would often be found cooking up the most wonderful treats. As he watched his mother cook, he looked at the little flame on the stove and thought of the red flower from the Jungle Book, the animal's name for fire. Soon he was thinking about how the man village in the story was similar to the cottage there in Foxglove. Why aren't they friends in the story? Like we are with the big folk up at the cottage, he said. I think, she said, that they're all just a little frightened of one another. Copperfield thought quietly about this for a moment. We used to be scared of them too, didn't we? Before they saved me from that icy pond a few years ago. I wonder if Sherry Iris will publish all of her stories in a book. It'd be quite good, wouldn't it? Because we hear little snippets. And I don't know about you, but I forget what's gone before. Yes, this is very, very Sherry Iris. And I have some similar things. Look, the pink going into the green. So maybe tomorrow's will be a lighter pink with a bit more green. Leave me a comment. Predict what colour you think tomorrow's is going to be. Now, let's hope that my iPad has still got a little bit of charge because it was down to 20%. So, today's little pattern is quite an expensive pattern, really. It's $7 US. And it says it's perfect for any fingering weight Advent kit. It's called Advent Envy, and it is a neck piece, a shawl, if you like, a wrap. And I'll insert some photos here. I really like the little tassels. I don't know whether I would be bothered to do that myself. I think if I did make this and I was doing it for somebody else, I would do the tassels. But for me, I don't like the tassels, and you could leave them off if you wanted to. It uses 1,189 meters, which is quite a lot, and 4mm needles, so it's quite a loose gauge. There's I-cords in it. It just said there's not a lot of information in the pattern. It just says 24 colours with 46 yards each. So you could do it with your 10 gram minis, I think. And then plus an additional 200 yards of fingering weight yarn for the border. So there's lots of flexibility with it. You could use scraps with it. So Advent Envy, rather, by Amanda Rios. And there we are, my lovelies. I have been talking for an absolute age. I've just seen a big pigeon, and on that note, I'm off.